Hi, folks. We're going to look at two different ways to calculate sales tax, two different strategies. Let's begin with the idea that my meal costs $9.28, and I know that my tax is 13%. That's going to have to be added on there. Now, 13% can also be written as the fraction 13 out of 100. Remember that percent or percent means out of 100. What I can think about is trying to figure out what 1/100th is and working from there. So I'm going to try to find out what is 1/100th of $9.28. Now, to do this, I'm going to start by thinking about using a place value chart to do this. So I'm going to scroll down here. My place value chart is somewhere. And I'm going to start by writing in my amount on my place value chart. And you can use the one that's posted on the Google Classroom and drag your numbers. So 9, my decimal's included here. I'm going to put it up here as well, just to remind myself, $9.28. Now, if I want to figure out what 1/100th is, it means I need to divide it by 100. I need to break it into 100 pieces, and each piece will be 1/100th or 1%. Now remember, whenever I'm using my place value chart and I divide or multiply by 10, I'm shifting my entire number to the right if I'm dividing and to the left if I'm multiplying. So I'm going to start by dividing this by 10. And when I divide by 10, everything's going to move one place to the right. So this 8 is going to move from my hundredths into my thousandths column. My 2 is going to move from my tenths into my hundredths. And my 9 is going to move from my ones into my tenths. My decimal is going to stay in the same spot. But remember, if I don't have a number in front of my decimal, this number is smaller than 1, I'm going to use that placeholder 0. So this number here, 928 thousandths, is showing 1/10 or 10% of my initial cost. But I don't want 10%, I want 1% or 1/100th. So what am I going to do next? I'm going to think, how many times does 10 go into 100? And I need to make it that much smaller. I need to divide it by that number. So I'm going to divide this by 10 again. So when I divide by 10, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to move everything over one space. Now, what you're going to notice with this place value chart is my 8, when I move it over, is going to go right off the chart, but I'm just going to include it right here. My 2 is going to move from my hundredths to my thousandths. My tenths are moving over to my hundredths column. My ones, which is a 0, is going to move here. And I still need that placeholder 0 on the whole number side of my column. So I can say that 1/100th of $9.28 is this number here. But when I'm dealing with money, I don't include that many place values after my decimal. I only include 2, right? When I count my cents, I'm going to start at 1 cent and I'm going to move up to 99 cents, and that's only going to use 2 spaces. So I'm going to take a look here, and I'm going to block off the portion that I'm using. but I need to check and see whether I need to round up in my hundredths column. So I'm going to check it out. This 2 is going to influence my 9, and 2 tells me to round down. So in this case, it's going to stay the same. So in money amounts, 1/100th or 1% of $9.28 is 9 cents. I'm going to go back up here and take a look. So $9.28 divided by 100 equals 9 cents. I'm also going to put in brackets the other way we can write it, which is just like this. So now I know how much 1% is. How can I figure out what 13% is? I'm going to take my 1% and I'm going to multiply it by 13. I could use repeat addition. Multiplication is going to be a bit quicker. And I'm going to break this down into 2 parts. So I'm going to think about 9 times 10, and I'm going to think about 9 times 3. Those are more manageable, and I can add those together. So 9 times 10 is 90, and 9 times 3 is 27. So I'm going to add those together. 7, 11. So 117 cents. And if I want to write this as dollars, it's going to be $1.17, right? I want 2 spaces after my decimal when I'm dealing with money. So in order to figure out how much my food is going to cost with tax, what do I need to do? I have my tax here, $1.17, and I know how much my meal costs, $9.28. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add those together. So let's take a look. 8 plus 5 is 15. I'm going to carry my 1. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 1 is 4. My decimals are stacked and I'm keeping it in the same spot. And 9 plus 1 is 10. So I know that with tax, a $9.28 meal will cost $10.45. So this is how I can use the place value chart to divide a decimal number by 10. It only works, remember, if I'm dividing by 10, 100, 1000, any one of the numbers that's going to show up here in my columns. Those are all numbers I can divide by, not by 1 though. So now I'm going to show you a second method. So this is one way I can do it. Figure out what 1/100th is, multiply it by my 13 to get 13%, and then add it onto my original meal. If you know how to do cross multiplication with decimals, there's a bit of a shortcut. So what I can do is I can start with the cost of my meal, and I can multiply it by 1 decimal 13. 1 is going to include my initial price, but it's going to add on 13% at the same time. So it's going to be a 1 maneuver, and it's going to give me the answer. So I'm going to start here with my cross multiplication. Remember, I'm always going to start right here in my far right column. And for now, I'm going to ignore the decimals. I'm going to add those in at the end. So 3 times 8 gives me 24. Put down my 4. I'm going to add that 2 on later. 3 times 2, that's going to be 6. Then I'm going to add those two. It's going to give me 8. And then 3 times 9. I'm moving over to the left on top. 3 times 9 is 27. Next, I'm going to move over to my tens column. Now, because I'm multiplying not by 1, but by 10, I'm going to add my 0 here because, as you know, when I multiply by 10, I add a 0 to the end of the number. So in this case, it's going to do that automatically with this placeholder 0. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 2 is 2, and 1 times 9 is 9. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Next, I need to go here and multiply by 1 again. This time, remember, I'm ignoring my decimals. I'm going to add 2 zeros because I've moved over 2 places on my value chart. 1 times 8 is 8, 1 times 2 is 2, and 1 times 9 is 9. My next step is to add these numbers all up. So let's give this a go. 4 plus 0 plus 0 is 4. 8 plus 8 is 16. I need to carry my 1. 1 plus 7 is 8, plus 2 is 10, plus 8 is 18. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 9 is 12, plus 2 is 14, and 1 plus 9 is 10. Now, to determine how many decimal places I have, I just need to look after each decimal how many digits appear. In this case, 1, 2, 3, 4 digits are after a decimal. So I'm going to start here at the end, and I'm going to move my decimal 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces from the right and put my decimal there. Again, since I'm dealing with money, I'm going to check and see whether anything has to be rounded. In this case, my 6 is telling my 8 to round up, so I'm going to end up with an amount of $10.49. You'll notice that my taxes show up slightly differently here. There's a 4 cents difference, and that's because when I do it this first way, I'm getting rid of these 28 10,000ths. So that's going to adjust it very, very slightly compared to when I figure it out using multiplication. Now, both answers would be acceptable as long as you're showing me your work, because depending on when we round or which number we're not including, it's going to make just little adjustments, and it should be just a couple of cents difference. So I challenge you to use one of these methods or to figure out your own way to find out what the 13th% tax is and find a way to add it onto your original price. I know you've got this.